So let's begin today's Bhagavad Katha with the prayers to the previous acharyas. Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुण सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पाञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे तृणादपि सुनिचैना तरोरिवा सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेना कीर्तनीया सदा हरि। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। जन्मादियस्य यतः अन्वयादितरतः च अर्थेषु अभिघ्नस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदं यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो अमृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि सत्यं परं धीमहि सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्म प्रोजित कैतवो अत्र पुंसो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवादं त्रापत्रयोन्मूलं श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परेरीश्वरेः सद्यो हृदि अवरुध्यते अत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रुभिः तत्क्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखाद् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबतं भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकः नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् वासुदेवे भगवती भक्तियोगप्रयोजितः ज्ञानतीयशु वैराग्यं ज्ञानं च यद् अहेतुकं शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्थस्थो भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रयेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी यस्यं वै श्रूयमानानं कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पाद्यते पुंसा शोकमोहा भय अपः। So welcome everyone for today's session. We are reading from chapter 7th, Canto 7, chapter 3rd of Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is entitled Hiranyakashipu plans to become immortal. So before we discuss this chapter, Hiranyakashipu planning to become immortal, we will discuss very briefly, the previous chapter. In the previous chapter, Hiranyakashipu basically, in the very first chapter, the question was raised that the Supreme Lord is partial. And, this question was raised by Parikshit Maharaj. And Narad Muni started to respond. Shukdev Goswami started to respond to Parikshit Maharaj's question, and Shukdev Goswami took this conversation by narrating a conversation between Yudhishthir Maharaj and Narad Muni. Yudhishthir Maharaj is very pertinent to Parikshit Maharaj because Yudhishthir Maharaj happens to be the grandfather of Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj was very keenly listening to this conversation. And as Narad Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj are conversing, they happen to come upon the topic of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. And therefore, now from second chapter onwards, Narad Muni starts to explain this whole pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. In specifically from second chapter, the discussion goes around when Varaha Dev actually killed Hiranyaksh, then how disturbed Diti, the mother of Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu, and the wife of Hiranyaksh, and the sons or the nephews of Hiranyakashipu, they were very distressed. And Hiranyakashipu basically tells them philosophy. He tells them amazing philosophy of how, the body is bound to be destroyed. And there are multiple pastimes that happen. The pastimes of the one of the kings, Suyagna, and also the pastime of Kulinga bird is being described there. And he describes this pastime, these narrations, so beautifully. Hiranyakashipu describes them to his mother Diti and also to his nephews, sons of Hiranyaksh, and the wife of Hiranyaksh, so beautifully that by the time he's finished, which is the end of chapter 2, all of them are very pacified. All of them are very pacified. Diti, who was the mother of Hiranyaksh, who had lost her son, she also becomes pacified and she starts to meditate upon the philosophy that was being spoken. And she basically, I'm just going to go to chapter 2 and read the very last verse, the English one. Diti, the mother of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh, heard the instructions of Hiranyakashipu along with her daughter-in-law, Rushabhanu, Hiranyaksh's wife. She then forgot her grief over her son's death and thus engaged her mind and attention in understanding the real philosophy of life. Okay, so such powerfully presented Hiranyakashipu's presentation was so beautiful, so nice that she actually forgot about her son's death, and then she thus engaged her mind and attention in understanding the real philosophy of life. Then starts the third chapter. Now, before we go to third chapter, we also read sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, towards the end of the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, um, we have this pastime of Marudgan, where the Indra, he basically Aditi wanted to kill Indra because of Indra who had killed his sons. Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. So it's like a, reverse. Some story was told pre-hand in sixth canto, and in seventh canto you're actually getting into Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. So it's interesting that Diti, who basically had forgotten the death of her son Hiranyaksh, by understanding the real philosophy, still wanted the death of Indra, because Indra was the root cause of killing of Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu, because he sought the Supreme Lord, the help of the Supreme Lord. So, in spite of listening the real philosophy from her own son, when her both the sons Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu were actually killed, Diti actually had no impact. There was no impact of the philosophy. Diti didn't go back to the philosophy. Instead she was wanting revenge. She was wanting to kill Indra. So now, so essential idea is that you may hear sometimes some philosophy, and sometimes you might be deeply impacted by such deep knowledge. But what happens after a few days? We forget. We forget what we had learned, and we go back to our old ways of existence. So it's really important to actually continuously remind ourselves of what we had learned. And if we don't do that continuously, then by nature we are forgetful. This is how the beginning, the main problem of the living entity is forgetfulness. We are forgetful of the Supreme Lord. So similarly, you all are attending every Thursdays and Tuesdays these sessions. It helps you to remember the Supreme Lord more and more. With this, we'll begin chapter 3, wherein Hiranyakashipu's plan was to become immortal. So, after Hiranyakashipu had said all these beautiful things, in reality, Hiranyakashipu was very, very angry. When he was so angry that when at the death of his brother, that when he looked at the skies, it seemed like black clouds were forming just by his sight. But at that time, Hiranyakashipu was not powerful enough, and he wanted some power. He wanted power so that uh, so far in his life of Hiranyakashipu was never troubled by Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu was never his enemy so far. And but this time, Hiranyakashipu noted in his mind and his anger, in his envy, he noted that Lord Vishnu, who is usually not partial, has suddenly become partial. He says, he thinks like this. And he's suddenly become partial because the demigods, the Devtas, they have prayed to him very nicely. And therefore, Hiranyakashipu thinks that the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he has suddenly become partial. And therefore, he wants to basically uh, slit the throat of the Supreme Lord. He wants to get rid of his head and he wants to drink the blood of the Supreme Lord. This is how the Asuras are basically. So, but to all of this, Hiranyakashipu needs power. He needs power. So let's get into this chapter. Hiranyakashipu basically he wanted five things. Firstly, he wanted to be unconquerable. No one should be ever be able to conquer him. So that was his first desire. He should be unconquerable. He should be free from any old age and disease, and he should not never become invalid basically, ever. And then he wanted all yogic perfections, anima, laghima, all kinds of eight yogic perfections that exist, becoming smaller than the smallest, lighter than the lightest, traveling with the speed of mind. Eight such perfections. He wanted all yogic perfections. Then, most importantly, he wanted to be deathless. That he can be free from old age, but still he can die. So he didn't want his death to come. And he wanted to be the only king of the entire universe. So he wanted no one above him, not even Lord Brahma, not even Lord Brahma. So he wanted to be like the absolute of the absolute in this whole creation. And that was his desire. Imagine, he wanted all these things. And to get this power, he was to pray to Lord Brahma. Soon you will hear this, that he was to pray to Lord Brahma. And he actually wanted, through his prayers, he desired to conquer the position of Lord Brahma, of his master. So this is the Asuric mentality. The Asuras, they will behave nicely in the beginning, but as soon as they start getting more and more power, and they start to become rise higher and higher in the position, in the strata of life, then they can't remain humble, and they can't they forget who their perceptors were in the past, and to an extent that they want to usurp the position of their own very own masters. And this is very common in the Kali Yuga, right? This happens in workplace all the time. This happens in powers of positions all the time. Politics is fully ridden with this. But this is very Asuric mentality, that they want to just take up the position of the master, and this is a this is what he wanted. So basically, his desires were demoniac, and for this he wanted to do some tapasya. He wanted to do some severe austerities. So what did Hiranyakashipu do? While Hiranyakashipu was gone, he decided that I'll do tapasya. But while he was going to do tapasya, he basically commanded his soldiers that go down to the earthly planets, and there you disturb everyone. Disturb the Brahminical culture and everything. You disturb, break the trees, because with the trees, you get the fruits and everything. Disturb kill the cows, disturb Brahmanas, don't let them do any fire sacrifices, and basically kill, loot, and put fire to the farms, all the gardens, farms, break break the gopuras or the forts that was being made. So this was all he instructed already in second chapter to his demoniac um, followers, his soldiers, and they were doing exactly that. While they were doing this, destroying the planet, in Hiranyakashipu wanted to do tapasya. So Hiranyakashipu chose a very strict type of austerity. This kind of austerity is practically not possible. It's like practically impossible. His austerity was he wanted to stand on his toes, not even on his feet, and he wanted to put his arms up in the sky. And it's you can try this at home. You will fall immediately because no one can stand on their toes and put their arms up, folded, and his he used one leg to support his another leg, but to stand on the toes, it's just practically not possible. He chose to even the best ballet dancers won't be able to do this. Ballet dancers learn to do this kind of dancing on the toes from their childhood, but they can't stand on their toes for more than like half an hour till the time of their performance, and that too not continuously, so their legs are down. But Hiranyakashipu chose to do this kind of a austerity. While he went into the forest and did kind of this austerity, there was from his hair, a brilliant and intolerable rays were starting to emanate. um, and the rays were so intense that it felt like it is dissolution, time of universal dissolution, when universes are dissolved and then recreated again. There are partial dissolution and there is full dissolution. So his austerity was so intense that there was these rays which are coming out. And when when he had instructed his demons to go and destroy everything on planet Earth, at that time the demigods, they had all gone to the lower planetary systems, to earthly planetary systems, to see what was happening in these planets. And while they had all of the demigods, they had distributed themselves to all the lower planetary systems to see what kind of havoc was being wreaked by these demons. At that time, suddenly they had this crazy sunlight and crazy hot rays of sun coming across in all directions they saw. And very fearful, the demigods immediately ran away from those planets and started to move back towards their own home, towards their own planetary systems. um, the fire and smoke started to come out of Hiranyakashipu's head, and it basically went in the lower planetary systems and also in the upper planetary systems. And because this fire was so hot, it was making all of these planetary systems extremely hot. What happened because of this heat that was coming from his head? Basically, all the rivers and oceans, they were all agitated because of this heat. Surface of the globe, the mountains and everything, they all started to tremble. When an elephant walks, there is tremblance. Similarly, the surface of earth, the mountains, the surface of other planetary systems, lower and upper planetary systems, all of these surfaces which are pretty solid, they were all trembling. And the stars and planets, they were starting to fall from their geolocations. They were all starting to the power of gravity was becoming weakened, and they were all moving away from their locations. They're all starting to fail, and all directions you could see this great fire, this great heat which was going everywhere. And because of this heat, the demigods, they were not able to tolerate this heat. Of course, the lower and living entities in lower planets, other planets, they were also not able to tolerate. So demigods, they went to Lord Brahma, and demigods told Lord Brahma um, the Hiranyakashipu's actual intention. What was his intention of his tapasya? So demigods started to explain Hiranyakashipu's intention of tapasya to Lord Brahma, and they were trying to explain to Lord Brahma what was Hiranyakashipu actually internally thinking. Now, clearly his intention was to become as great as Lord Brahma himself. But do you know how long Brahma lives? Brahma lives crazy life. lifetime. 1,000 yugas, or the yuga cycles. One cycle of a yuga is Sattva Yuga, Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kal Yuga. So that is one cycle. Okay. And 1,000 such cycles is what Lord Brahma lives. Imagine. So it's a so that's crazy amount of time. That's extremely long. So now how is someone who is Hiranyakashipu, who even though he was higher planetary system, he might have lived just for a one yuga, which is I think Sat Yuga, one yuga of one yuga cycle. That's it. That was his possible existence. How could someone who just lives for one yuga of one yuga cycle actually do an austerity which will get him the position of some personality who lives thousands of yuga cycles? It is practically impossible. So we have to understand one thing here. The the determination of Hiranyakashipu was crazy. He was so determined. If you have Just to give you a context, if you are supposed to live for one day, lot of insects, they live just one day. Okay. So if you're supposed to live just one day, how can you achieve an ambition which someone else has achieved, but someone else has achieved in 100 years? Right. So it's practically, so if a caterpillar thought today that I will achieve something that was achieved in 100 years, what is the likelihood of caterpillar actually achieving this? It's practically impossible. But the demons have amazing intelligence. Hiranyakashipu had amazing intelligence. Hiranyakashipu thought to himself, he said, okay, that I know Brahma lives very long, and that's why he has this amazing position. He did austerities for many, many thousands of years. But I know that time is eternal, and I know that soul is eternal. So he knew that he himself, his actual soul, the spirit soul, is eternal. He knew that. And he knew that time is eternal. These two factors are eternal. So if something is running to eternity, if you hold that thing, then you can reach continuity. You can be continuous. So, because he knew that the soul is eternal, he decided, if I don't finish my austerity in one lifetime, because if Brahma had to do so many years, thousands and thousands of years of austerity, then I might also need that long austerity. So, it doesn't matter. I will basically make sure that my soul will continue to do the austerity. And so what Hiranyakashipu did was, he basically continued his austerities with crazy determination. And he said, I will do austerities life after life to occupy the post of Brahma. And so he basically, when he was doing his austerity, ants, insects, worms, they were all eating up his body. He was in excruciating pain, but he was keeping his life air, his soul, in his bones. We will discuss this in a moment in a little bit greater depth, but I just wanted to tell you just the craziness of the idea that Hiranyakashipu had. Asuras, they can sometimes have crazy ideas, and they can make those crazy ideas happen. But here the demigods are explaining to Lord Brahma, this is the thought process of Hiranyakashipu. And really, what Hiranyakashipu wants is everything. So demigods are explaining to Lord Brahma that he wants everything, including your planet. And what to speak of your planet, he in reality he wants to harass everyone. The main purpose of Hiranyakashipu to get everything is to harass everyone. And they are judging this by the instructions that Hiranyakashipu had already given to his soldiers, is to harass everyone. So, he's saying that he wants all the heavenly planets. He wants, lower planetary systems, upper planetary systems, and he also wants Satyaloka. Let us tell you, O Lord Brahma, he doesn't just want the higher planetary systems up to your planet, he also wants Dhruvaloka. Now, you all know what Dhruvaloka is, right? It's like a Vaikuntha within the material world. And in the Dhruva planet, the Dhruva lives. who is the purest devotee of the Lord, and it's a Vaikuntha planet, so Supreme Lord also lives. So he basically even wanted to make Vaishnavas, the devotees of the Lord. He wanted to even capture all of the devotees of the Lord to make even their position insecure. Basically, he wanted to harass even the devotees. And to, I'll break the news, breaking news, and it's a sad one that he actually succeeded in his desires. He actually put Vaishnavas under, and Narad Muni was his, when Hiranyakashipu would walk, Narad Muni was his follower. He would just make sure that everyone is cleared from front of Hiranyakashipu. So even the best of the sages, who is the head of our parampara, had to become servant of Hiranyakashipu, the asura. So his intention was to disturb all the Vaishnavas, disturb every single personality that exists. So there has never been such a demon in the history of the humankind that like Hiranyakashipu. So so Prabhupada, he's mentioning that this is a demonic mentality that demons want to harass everyone, and they always want to take up the position of the master. Prabhupada gives an example of the Mohammedan rule in India. When Mohammedans were ruling India, so the Mughals and there are many kingdoms that came, and in all of their kingdoms, the kings were very um, restless because they couldn't trust another Mohammedan, because every time they trusted another Mohammedan, he would kill them and usurp the kingdom and themselves become the king. And Prabhupada gives specific example of Subuddhi Rai and Nawab Hussain Shah. So Subuddhi Rai was a very rich zamindar, and he basically adopted a son who was like a Muslim son, and he kept him nicely. But one day, this son, he did some mischief, and so Subuddhi Rai had to actually hit him with a cane, and so there were marks on his back because of this beating. So so this person, this boy, he did some crazy things, and made alliances, killed many people when he grew up, and somehow other, by great crazy cheating and things like that, he became the king of that whole area. He became the Nawab, and he started to be called as Nawab Hussain Shah. So this boy who was like lonely and forlorn, and now suddenly becomes a king. And his wife one day sees the marks in his back, and she asks, how come you have these beating marks in your back? And he started to explain that this Subuddhi Rai, who is in our kingdom, he actually kept me as his son, and one day I made a mischief, and so he basically had beaten me. So his wife becomes very angry, and he says, she thinks, how can a Hindu could have killed my punished my husband? So she says that you should kill Subuddhi Rai. And Nawab Hussain Shah says, no, no, I can't kill him because he's helped me, he's taken care of me, he's loved me, he's like my father. I can't kill him. But she says, okay, then you have to make him Muslim. So then Shubuddhi Rai, this Nawab Hussain Shah, he takes his pot, and in those days, they would, if any Muslims would come around Hindus, there was strong casteism around that time, driven by Smartha Brahman, not promoted by our scriptures, but driven by Smartha Brahmins. And he threw some water on Subuddhi Rai, and forcibly converted in him to Muslim religion. So Prabhupada thus is mentioning that that everyone was insecure in Mohammedan rule, because whoever was the master was the most restless, because any servant they kept. So therefore, a lot of the Mohammedans, they always kept Hindus as their chief positions. They never kept other Mohammedans as the chief positions because they couldn't trust them. So, the Prabhupada says, thus the living entity, although servant of his senses, tries to become master of the universe. So, Hiranyakashipu, although he was the servant of his senses, he was trying to become the master of the universe. And when in further chapters, when you actually read Hiranyakashipu, when actually succeeded in everything, this is like, what do we call? Not the end game, the one before Infinity War, where actually, um, Thanos wins, and he actually he kills half the population of the planet. So this actually happened with Hiranyakashipu. He actually won. He actually killed crazy amounts of people, and he actually after having killed all kinds of people, after having all kinds of opulences, he was still not satisfied because he had uncontrolled senses. Uncontrolled senses. So, this is what Prabhupada is saying here. The living entity, although servant of his own senses, tries to become master of the universe. So, this is our situation. So demigods were explaining all of this to Lord Brahma, and they were then starting to explain that, look, his demons, they went on earth and they started to kill Brahmanas, and Brahmanas, they are very critical element in this creation, because Lord Brahma, you have created Brahmanas to establish Brahminical culture, and with the Brahminical culture, the cows are protected, and with the cows are protected, then the land is fertile, and then because of the cows you can till the land, and you also get milk. So milk, with that you can get ghee, and in the ghee you can use that in the yagya, to offer it to the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and with the land you will get grains, and to have the water for all of this, the yagya is done to have the grain. So they are explaining this whole connection, that this whole cycle, Lord Brahma, you have created, and this is the perfect cycle you have created. And therefore, if we don't do this yagyas, in one way demigods were saying that when these yagyas are performed, then you get the yagna phal, or you get the result of the yagya, the fire sacrifice. And actually, the most important portion of the fire sacrifice goes to the demigods, right? So demigods were also trying to tell Brahma that, actually, look, if Hiranyakashipu becomes, then he will, first thing he'll do is kill Brahminical culture. Then we will not get our share of sacrifices. Then we will also not survive. So you please protect us. But they are saying this in a rounded fashion. They are saying this in a different way for Brahma, Lord Brahma. But Lord Brahma, of course, he understands. So they're explaining all of this cycle. So, and then they are saying that in the beginning of the creation, oh Lord Brahma, there were two demons who came to kill you. They were Madhu and Kaitab, and the Supreme Lord Vishnu had to come to protect you. And therefore, Supreme Lord Vishnu is called Madhu Kaitab Hantar, or Madhu Kaitab Ari. So in the bhajans, you will see one of the names of Lord Vishnu is Madhu Kaitab Hantar. You will hear this. So he says that in the beginning of creation, these great demons were there to kill you, and the Supreme Lord protected. But now again, we have this great demon Hiranyakashipu in the middle of the creation. What do we do now? They were putting these questions to Lord Brahma. Prabhupada, while he is mentioning these things, Prabhupada is mentioning that if one is situated in an opulent position in spiritual advancement, his opulence never decreases. Such spiritual benediction is called vibhuti. Hmm? If a devotee advances in spiritual consciousness and thus becomes materially opulent also, his position is a special gift from the Lord. Such opulence is never considered material. So, if someone is advancing in spiritual consciousness and they also are benedicted with great material opulence, then one should not consider, that this person is down because he's materially opulent. A great example is our Ambrish Prabhu, who is right now on ventilator. He is a great devotee of the Lord, son, great grandson of Alfred Ford. um, he had material opulence, but anyone could meet him and know his spiritual consciousness is so high. So please all pray. You can pray for Ambrish Prabhu. He needs prayers. But Prabhupada is saying that if someone has material opulence and they are devotees, if they are advancing in spiritual consciousness and the Lord is giving them with material opulence, then there is no need of envying them. It is a special gift, Prabhupada says, from the Lord. And such opulence is never considered material. So even though it is material opulence, but still it is given to a devotee who is constantly meditating on the Supreme Lord, constantly wanting to use everything for the service of the Supreme Lord, constantly wanting to use the material energy in the service of the Lord. So therefore, if someone's getting material energy and they are devotees, one should not complain, oh, actually he's not a devotee, he's making too much money, he's not spiritually conscious, he's in the name of spiritual life, he's just ending up making more and more money. No, you have to see the person's consciousness. So this, in this way, the demigods, they are explaining it to Lord Brahma, and they are begging to Lord Brahma, and so Lord Brahma understands all of their arguments, and he decides that, okay, now it is time to go reach out to Hiranyakashipu. So Lord Brahma actually reaches out to Hiranyakashipu. So he goes there along with Bhrigu and Daksha. Now, these are two very important personalities he goes with. You will often see in Shrimad Bhagavatam when the Supreme Lord also comes, if he wants to set some example, he comes with those devotees whose example he wants to set. So here also, Lord Brahma wants to convey something to Hiranyakashipu. And therefore, Lord Brahma is coming in association with Bhrigu and Daksha. So initially, when Lord Brahma comes there, he can't spot Hiranyakashipu because nothing of Hiranyakashipu is left. All his flesh is gone, bones are gone, everything is gone. He, in fact, all the bamboos and creepers and thorny bushes, they are all growing in that place. But Lord Brahma, through his mystic potency, um, he basically spots where the Hiranyakashipu was, and the amount of time Hiranyakashipu actually did this tapasya was 100 heavenly years. 100 heavenly. It's not as great as 1,000 yugas, but 100 heavenly years is also amazing. He didn't even drink a glass of water. Didn't even drink a glass of water. One of the best devotees who did amazing austerity, speaking of the devotee, who did amazing austerity in Srimad Bhagavatam is Ranti Dev, which for whom of whom you will hear in the ninth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I think for 49 days or 54 days, I think it was 49. He and his family didn't drink any water or anything. And after the end of that 49 day, then the Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, they came to test him and his family. And they came as a Brahmana, then as a dog, then as a Chandala, and finally, they came. He that last water glass was left, and Ranti Dev, he also gave that to one of the Chandalas. And then you said this is the last glass of water, and if I drink this, I know I will be dead, but I this is my duty, and I want that all the living entities to be happy even if I'm suffering. So he gives that, and the demigods become very pleased, and his concentration, even though demigods want to give benediction, his concentration is on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. He's thinking of him constantly. So that amazing personality for whom the Supreme Lord was easily available, and it is said that the Maya didn't exist for him. So he did austerities for some number of days, 49 days without drinking water. Here we have Hiranyakashipu who did austerities for 100 heavenly years without drinking water. His body was completely vanquished. And Lord Brahma is amazingly shocked. And, Lord Brahma knew that he is wanting his position. But still, Lord Brahma, he was so pleased with Hiranyakashipu that he was okay to give his position to Hiranyakashipu. So Lord Brahma, he through his mystic potency, he basically came and he understood where Hiranyakashipu was, and when he realized that Hiranyakashipu is actually here and he's keeping his life air inside his bones, then he was amazed. And Prabhupada here he mentions that even in the modern times, people know how to survive by keeping their life airs within their bodies, and he gives example of Jesus Christ. That Jesus Christ, when he was crucified, then they buried him, but then it said that he didn't die, he actually maintained his life air within his body, within his bones, and after few days he was exhumed, and then he traveled to Kashmir basically. And a lot of people in Kashmir, they say that yeah, Jesus Christ finally died here, and this is his tomb. Even today you can go and you can find that place. And then there is another theory which says that Jesus Christ also studied in Kashmir and in Jagannath Puri. So he via Kashmir he entered India and then finally went to Jagannath Puri. And they have artifacts to prove that. And Prabhupada is mentioning the same fact here in purport, that Jesus Christ, he exhumed himself after crucifixion, after he was buried. So he was able to maintain his life within his body. And Prabhupada is saying that there are other mystics, who can actually maintain their life air within their bones. If you go to South India today, you will find in Udupi Mutt, one of the mathas, I think it's Narsingadev Matha. There is one personality who is still living and he's supposed to continue living for like another thousand of year, and people go and pray to his samadhi. People go and pray to his samadhi, and he told that I'm just taking samadhi. I'm just closing my eyes. I'm just taking the samadhi. My physical external body may not be there, but my subtle body is still maintained within this bone, and people still go there and still pray to him. And he is basically considered as one of the incarnations, further incarnations of Prahlad. So in essence, this science exists. People can survive if they know the science of how to maintain their life air in the bones. Um, so this is what Prabhupada is explaining. And here, um, Prabhupada mentions a very beautiful point. When all of the Hiranyakashipu was doing austerity, austerity that was done by Hiranyakashipu was intense. What was happening? What was the result of his austerities? When Hiranyakashipu did austerity, the whole world was becoming fearful. Everyone was becoming fearful, right? And similarly, so Prabhupada says, one who performs severe austerities for sense gratification is fearful to the entire world. One who does austerities for the purpose of sense gratification is fearful to the entire world. So the whole world fears from them. Because what happens when you do austerity, then you are going to become strong. And when you are going to become strong, what will you do? You will do bully. You will bully others. So therefore, when some wrong person does austerity for wrong reasons, for sense gratification, then it is a cause of fear for the entire creation. But a devotee who performs even a slight amount of devotional service is a friend to everyone. A devotee, if they perform some devotional service, then they are friend to everyone. And so generally you will also notice that people who are very asuric, they are more austere, and they can do more tapasyas than the devotees themselves. Devotees can't do so much austerity sometimes. Even amongst devotees you will find, come in the community of devotees, you will find certain devotees, they are very austere, they can do austerities, and they will do crazy amounts of austerities. That doesn't mean that they are spiritually advanced. Sometimes it is, I'm saying sometimes, not all the time. I'm saying sometimes it is just asuric mentality, the asuric pravritti that they have in themselves, that makes them so strong that they just want to achieve. They want to achieve something. Whereas a devotee, they care about devotional service. Am I serving? Is my By doing this austerity, anyone can do strong austerities, but by can anyone behave nicely to all the Vaishnavas? Can anyone be friends with everyone? That is a more tough situation to be in. So, Prabhupada therefore was very balanced on austerity. You should not just avoid austerity, you should do, because the purpose of human life is tapasya. But while doing tapasya, you should not be after crazy tapasya, which is not supported and it harms your devotional service. So this is an important point. And he says that bhakti, this is bhakti, where in bhakti everyone wants to do devotional service, and they want to be friend of everyone. Why they can be friend of everyone? Because of two things. Two things can help you become friend of everyone, and these are just these two things which block you from becoming friend of everyone. And what are these two things? Sarva upadhi vinirmuktam. That one, someone gives up designations. The reason you can't be friends with everyone is because someone has a designation and you hold a designation. Either you like their designation, you want to be like them, or you want to be better than them. But other people will consider your designations as lower, so they may not be equally good friends to you. So the whole material world is caught up in this designations, and they can't be good friends with each other. So similarly, a devotee can't be good friend till we have sarva upadhi, till we have upadhis. And then he says anya abhilashita sunyam, that we have to be freed from material desires. Okay, there is no problem, you have given up upadhis, but you want something material. And because you want something material, you might not be able to be friends with everyone. You will form camps, Manchester United, Chelsea, because materially I am aligned with Manchester United, materially I am aligned with Chelsea. So because you have a material desire, you don't want position, but still you have some material desire. So if you avoid these two things, designations. Sometimes people, they don't have material desires, devotees, but devotees still have designations, and because of the designations, they are not able be able to friends, genuine friends with everyone. So these two things are important. And so Prabhupada mentions this. And in the story, then what happens is Brahmaji spots Hiranyakashipu, observes that he is completely gone now. His body is in his life air is maintained in his bones. So Brahmaji, what he does, he from his kamandalu, water pot, he takes some water and he sprinkles on Hiranyakashipu. And as soon as he sprinkles it on Hiranyakashipu, this Hiranyakashipu, he becomes fully rejuvenated young boy with young man with effulgence. His body is now completely effulging, more strong than what it was before. And here Prabhupada is mentioning that actually Lord Brahma, throwing this, sprinkling this water on Hiranyakashipu, it's not magic. Lord Brahma is empowered with this. Anything that he desires, he can do. That is what is the benediction given to Lord Brahma. And therefore he is called Amogha Radhashaha. Amogha means infallible. Lord Brahma is infallible in doing anything that he wants. If he chooses to do something, he will be able to do. He is Amogha Radhasha. And therefore, he could have taken water from his water pot and threw, or he could have done anything else. Even through his mind, he could have given Hiranyakashipu everything, because he knows the science of transformation of material elements. He knows everything because he can control them. He is the controller of the injector of the three modes, secondary injector of the three modes. So then Hiranyakashipu, he comes back. He's a fresh young boy, and as soon as he comes to Lord Brahma is very shocked, and he says, Hiranyakashipu, whatever austerity you have done is the best of the austerities, and actually in future also no one will be able to ever do this kind of an austerity. In fact, Bhrigu Muni has also can't do the austerity that you have done. Bhrigu Muni is a devotee, is a Vaishnav, and Bhrigu Muni had done crazy amounts of austerity. If you don't know about Bhrigu Muni was the one who was asked by all the saintly persons to find out who is the supreme among Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. And Bhrigu Muni had the audacity of kicking Lord Vishnu in his chest. So Bhrigu Muni is not an ordinary devotee, ordinary personality, and he did amazing amounts of austerity. And here we have Hiranyakashipu. So demons can do more austerities than devotees. And if you see someone doing crazy austerities, then you should know that this is asuric, because asuras want something material. So here we have Brahmaji was shocked, he is amazed, and to an extent that Brahmaji is willing to put himself subservient to Hiranyakashipu. Brahmaji very well knows now that Hiranyakashipu is going to, ask for his position, and Brahmaji is now can't do anything basically. Um, but Brahmaji says something amazing before he actually starts to give benedictions. Brahmaji says something really amazing. And this is how, when you hear people speak, if you hear them very carefully, sometimes in their questions you find answers. And sometimes the way you speak will tell you their complete intention. So now Brahmaji is going to make some statements to Hiranyakashipu, which basically in that statement there is all the answers to the questions which Hiranyakashipu has not asked yet, but Brahmaji has already understood that he is going to ask. So in simple statement, Brahmaji is saying, I belong to celestial world of the demigods, Brahmaji says. Hmm? Which means he means to say that he belongs to Satyaloka, right? And he says that and people there, the demigods in my planet Satyaloka, they do not die like ordinary human beings. Brahmaji says they do not die like ordinary human beings. So what happens to people in Satyaloka when the actual dissolution is there? They all go to Vaikuntha, and when the universes are found back, they come back from Vaikuntha back to Satyaloka. So this is their transition during the partial dissolution, and they actually don't die like that. So therefore he says, therefore, although you are subject to death because you are in a human body, Hiranyakashipu, although you are subject to death, you know, your audience with me will not go in vain, Brahmaji says. Your audience with me will not go in vain. But Brahmaji reminds him that, look, you are in a body which is subject to death. Even if you ask me a boon to become immortal, I might not be able to give you that, because you're not in a body of type of mine. So here, he's Brahmaji is foretelling Hiranyakashipu that you will have to die because you're not from Satyaloka. You can't go to Vaikuntha and come back. You're not like the body in the body of Satyaloka. So you are going to die. So Hiranyakashipu kind of understood that Brahmaji is not going to give me the benediction I really want. Right? He understood that he is not going to give me the deathlessness that I really wanted. So, here, in a very simple statement of Lord Brahma, there are multiple conversations that have happened. And now Hiranyakashipu, after knowing this fact that Brahmaji may not be actually be able to give me directly the deathlessness, let me twist my purpose. Let me reformat my words. Let me ask benedictions in such a way in that Brahmaji will be. I am better than Brahma. I will basically, Brahmaji is putting googly on me. I will I will put a googly on Brahmaji. So he basically now starts to. But first, what happens is transformation of heart. He basically, after Brahmaji has said this, he falls flat on the lotus feet of Lord Brahma. He's humbled, and he's crying because of this intense austerity. He has a humble heart, and he starts to pray to Lord Brahma. Now, when he starts to pray to Lord Brahma, his prayers are like any ordinary materialist. And you will be very shocked that demigods also put prayers like this. When you want something from someone, you glorify that person. Say, for example, I want something from some personality. I want to get admission in a hospital. That hospital is world's best hospital, and I can't find any bed there. Then suddenly I'll go to the owner of the hospital and I'll start praising the owner of the hospital that you're the best surgeon. Without you, nothing can actually happen. For last so many years, this whole institution is standing because of you alone. And if you wouldn't have been there, this would have all crumbled. You are actually the creator of this institution. You are the god of this institution. This is how someone who is in need presents or praises the person who they need something material from. So Prabhupada mentions in another place, it's like itching someone's back. So demigods, you will be very amazed. Indra, Chandra, Varuna, they put very similar prayers to Lord Shiva when the poison had come out from the ocean. And they didn't know what to do this poison. So first they went to Lord Vishnu, and Mahendra, he said that, okay, go to my devotee Lord Shiva. So when they went to Lord Shiva, he has a wife, and Lord Shiva always consults his wife. So they were very afraid. Maybe, Lord Shiva could consult his wife, and maybe Bhavani might say no. But Mother Durga never says no to Lord Shiva because she knows who Lord Shiva is. So, so they started praying to Lord Shiva, and they saying that you are the creator of the time, you are the creator of the gunas, you are the creator of the universes, you are the all in all, you are the original Adi Deva, creator of everything. So very similar prayers Hiranyakashipu is now putting to Brahma because he wants to take the position of Brahma. He wants to become Brahma. So in next set of verses, Hiranyakashipu is basically praising, putting everything into Lord Brahma, and he's telling that you created the gunas. Oh my Lord, oh best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction. Then he starts to ask his benediction. I desire, please let me not meet death from any living entities created by you. So he starts, his benediction prayers are starting, and he's making 3 4 prayers to ask from Lord Brahma. So firstly he asks, any creature that you have created, O Lord Brahma, let that creature never be able to kill me. Says, grant me that I not die within any residence, or outside any residence, during the daytime or at the night, on the ground or in the sky. Grant me that my death not be brought by any being other than those created by you. Hmm? Nor by any weapon, nor by any human being or an animal. This is very interesting. He says, nor by any human being, because there are many incarnations of the Lord where he came as human being, right? And as human being, so Hiranyakashipu from another cycle of yugas, he might have heard of Lord Ram, who came as a human being. So he's ensuring in himself, and then nor by any human being or an animal. His brother was killed by Varahadev, who came as Varaha as an animal. Now, Varaha is one of the species created by Lord Brahma. Pigs, hogs, they are one of the species created by. So, therefore, he is making this prayer: grant me that my death not be brought by any being other than those created by you. So those beings that have created by you, they should not be able to kill me. So even an animal, he uses the word animal because he's so afraid, because his brother just got killed by an animal, who Lord took the form of an animal. And then he says, not inside, not outside, not in the sky, not on the ground. um, he says, grant me that um, I just wanted to read something. Hiranyakashipu knew that Brahma would not kill him, but he also wanted not to be killed by Lord Vishnu or Lord Shiva. Consequently, he prayed for such a benediction. Thus, Hiranyakashipu thought himself securely protected from any kind of death caused by any living entity within this universe. He also carefully guarded against the natural death which might take place within his house or outside of the house. Sometimes people just die natural death. There was one famous personality, he was proving himself to be the most young personality. Like he was never becoming old, even though he was like very old, and he was fully fit, no diseases, nothing, absolutely nothing. And when the time came, he just died by slipping on the peel of a banana. So he was just going, he went outside, very normal day, he's walking through, there was a banana peel, perfect person, no wrinkles, very old, fully fit, properly young. He was like 15, 20, 30 years young than ordinary old people. But when the time of death had come, he just slipped on the peel of banana and he died. So Hiranyakashipu knows that even an accident can happen. So he's ensuring against natural death also. So see, Asuras are very clever. Very, very clever they are. And then he says, grant me that I not meet death from any entity, living or non living. Grant me further that I not be killed by any demigod or demon, or by any great snake from the lower planets. The lower planets have got many snakes. So, any snakes. Since no one can kill you in the battlefield, you have no competitor, O Lord Brahma, he's saying. Therefore, grant me the same benediction. Grant me the benediction that I too may have no rival. So, he wants no rivalry. No rivalry whatsoever. He doesn't want it. Give me sole lordships over all living entities and presiding deities, and give me all the glories obtained by that position. Furthermore, give me all the mystic powers attained by long austerities. So, sometimes we do short austerities, and the results of short austerities are gone. You know, like you do Ekadashi. So, after doing Ekadashi, Dwadashi, you feel great, but then we start abusing our bodies by eating properly on Dwadashi. So again, we go back to our old ways. We start to feel a little bit down. So we have to keep doing this short austerities, short austerities. But if someone does a very long and long austerity is usually not possible. It is only possible by mercy of the Lord. If Lord allows to you to do long austerity, you will be able. Otherwise, you will not be able to do it. So here he's saying um, that, and give me all glories obtained by, furthermore, give me all mystic powers attained by long austerities. And who has done long austerities? Lord Brahma has done very long austerity. So he's basically asking all the prowess of Lord Brahma. And for these cannot be lost at any time. He knows that long austerities, they cannot be lost at any time. So give me the fruits of the long austerities that you have gotten. So this is what Hiranyakashipu is asking for. He is making sure that he has covered every single edge and corner. And he actually did it very nicely. He did it so nicely that you will see that Lord Narsinghadev had to come, and Narsinghadev was very angry with Lord Brahma. Very angry with Lord Brahma. And he said, never give benedictions. Just as you never feed milk to a snake, similarly, you never give benedictions to a poisonous person. such kind of so Hiranyakashipu did a very great job of asking, twisting his words and everything. No one can kill him and everything. And he thought he is victorious. And he was the Thanos. He did click the finger. He actually managed to get everything under his control. He actually managed to kill the population that he wanted to be killed. He actually had all the demigods under his control. His eyebrows would actually cause problems to the demigods. The devotees, Lord, like Narad Muni and others, were his followers. He was like absolute. He was completely absolute. But there is many more interesting things about his absolute situation mentioned in further chapters of Shrimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, which is one of the bestest cantos you can hear. You will hear that in coming time. With that, I'll pause, I'll stop, and I'll seek your blessings and forgiveness if I've said something that is difficult to hear or something that you thought was wrong. Please, I'm very happy to be corrected. And if you have any questions, you may ask. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand or unmute and kindly ask your question. Okay. Anyone? Was it true, Prabhu, that initially he did ask to stay alive forever, which Brahma himself said, I can't give you this benediction, basically, because I don't have that. Um, so basically, is that something that he asked initially also? And if you could elaborate on that.
Yes, so if you go and read the story from the Puranas, you will find this kind of explanation where Brahma's Lord Brahma could tell. But here the same thing is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, exactly the same thing, but it's mentioned in that one line that I explained to you. It was such a back and forth. Brahma had foreseen what he is thinking, and so Brahma is about to tell something that Brahma can't offer to him, that you can't become deathless, and so you will actually die. So whatever Brahma speaks actually will happen. So what did Brahma say? I belong to celestial world of the demigods who do not die like human beings. And here Hiranyakashipu is one of the at this point before the benediction. Therefore, although you are subject to death, he's saying although you are subject, which means he's telling you will die. You are subject to that. You will die. Your audience with me will not go in vain. I've come to you. Your audience with me will not go in vain, but I must tell you, you will die. So you can't ask me the deathless benediction. So if you read fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, after where four Kumaras, cursed Jay and Vijay, and after that the Lord had come running to see what was the altercation going on between at the gate of his door, at the gate of Vaikuntha. Then Supreme Lord spoke few things, and the way he spoke, it's the language he uses all sided. I can't call it double sided, but there are so many meanings to his 2 to 3 lines that four Kumaras, who were the best of the learned personalities, first created sons of Brahma and brahmacharis, so they protected all their energies even. So that means they had crazy amounts of energy. They have crazy amounts of understanding. They are saying that, my Lord, whatever you have just now said, we can't fathom what you have said. So, Brahma also is a very highly elevated living entity. He has just made a very simple statement, and in very simple statement, he has communicated and further communicated and back communicated with Hiranyakashipu and told him that, look, you are going to ask me this benediction for deathlessness. I'm telling you, you are going to die. You're not going to be like me. So don't ask me that. So therefore, Hiranyakashipu understood it, and therefore he had to put these conditions, twisting and turning. But the same thing has been explained slightly differently in Puranas, where because for a common man like you and me, if I tell you very cleanly that this is what A is A for apple, B for ball, you can understand it. But if I tell you very complex, this is called refined. This is called Sanskrit. Sanskrit means very refined. So this is a language of higher planetary systems, and this is the creator's language. They can just speak very one sentence, and that has got crazy amounts of meaning for a person who can understand that easily. So this is what has happened. It is This is for us to be able to understand. It has to be broken down. That first Brahma told that, look, he asked for a benediction for deathlessness. Then Brahma said, no, I am mortal. I had to go to Satyaloka. That's how I'm protected. But after some lifetime, I will also die. And then Hiranyakashipu had to twist and turn all of these things. But here, that exactly same thing is mentioned by one single shloka of Lord Brahma.
Okay.
I don't know if it explains, but
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Uh, in terms of benedictions, though, um, and we're always trying to ask for more ourselves. How do we consciously try to retract ourselves from that and change um, our view, so that we're not always constantly thinking, okay, we've got this, and we're sort of saying to ourselves, I'm happy with what my lot in essence. Um, so how do we go about trying not to get more materially entangled?
yeah, this mainly happens because of not being grateful. So, if in the morning the first thing you get up and do is Supreme Lord, pray to the Supreme Lord and tell him that actually I'm very grateful for whatever you have given to me, then automatically our demands, they will be pacified. And another important thing is to cultivate and pray for pure devotional service. Our devotional service is not pure, and therefore, because it is not pure, we are constantly asking for something. Even in devotional life, we are asking for something. Even being on the path of pure devotion, we have a habit of asking. You know, as soon as we wake up, we start to ask. So I think the most important thing that I have heard is, first thing you get up is you pay obeisances to your spiritual master and be thankful, grateful to your spiritual master, grateful to the Supreme Lord for this day, that you have actually opened your eyes. You are here, you're breathing, the air is still there. So just being grateful to the Lord, and then cultivating pure devotional service, which means that that, oh my Lord, I don't want anything from you, but I want to serve you. Please use me as your instrument in whatever you think is the best. Please just give me some service. That is what we pray. And very amazingly, even Jews have this kind of a prayer. It's like they explain in their understanding that sun has a sunlight. That light cannot exist if it's separated from the sun. So similarly, they also understand that, why do you want to go to God to ask something? Or, why don't you want to go to God to give him something, like service, like love, like so this is our conception also, is we go to God not for asking, but making it a habit that, oh Krishna, I want to serve you. How can I serve you today? How can I serve you? This is the So being grateful and changing our prayers, these are the two things which will help. There are many possible answers, but these are the two things I think genuinely helps. Is not asking anything. You can ask for good health because that is very critical. It's material, but it's not material for devotees. But other than that, you should just say, how can I be engaged in your service, O Krishna? Please engage me in your service. That is Hare Krishna Mahamantra also, but that can, when it's said explicitly, it makes an impact. And being grateful. Those are my 2 points.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. And finally, I think I'm getting exhausted with my questions anyway, but just finally, why couldn't the demigods disrupt the tapasya? Because if they knew that this is what the outcome was, why couldn't they just disrupt it?
Yeah, there are few things in Vedic system that people generally don't do. Um, and some of these things are gross, so I will have to still say it, but with a pure intention. If someone has a nature's call, you can't kill the person in the act. If someone is copulating, producing children, you can't kill the person in the act. You get terrible sins for such a thing. um, In ancient times, people, when someone was eating, you would never get them to fight also. Similarly, when someone is doing tapasya, then devtas, when sadhus are doing tapasya, demons will always interrupt. Now you can't interrupt usually because it's very sinful. In case of Hiranyakashipu, his body was so hot and he was generating so much energy from his body that demigods couldn't even actually go in close to them to destroy his tapasya. It's not the case that they didn't try. It's not mentioned in Shrimad Bhagavatam, but one thing is mentioned in Shrimad Bhagavatam, that when he was doing tapasya, Indra went with his army to kill Kayadhu, and take the son of Kayadhu. And this is when Narad Muni came and interrupted and told Indra that, look, he is not your enemy, he's actually a devotee. And when actually Indra knew that he is a devotee, then Indra circumambulated Kayadhu. All the demigods circumambulated Kayadhu, paid obeisances to Narad Muni, and then they left. So they tried, but they couldn't go. I think to Hiranyakashipu, because of the prowess he had in his tapasya. The burning of the creation that was happening.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu.